Hello, I am Dandi Laksono from Indonesia. It is an honor to be part of this forum and apologize for not being able to attend as scheduled due to visa issue. I'm a journalist, I'm a filmmaker based in Jakarta. One of the methods we use in film production is through expeditions traveling around Indonesia with small motorcycles. It's cheaper and hopefully low carbon footprint as well.
Bapak dan Mama sehat-sehat, semoga perjuangan terus berlanjut.
Kami pamit, Mama. Kami pamit.
Terima kasih banyak. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih.
Kapan pamitnya?
Sudah ini, langsung. Terima kasih. Iya, terima kasih.
Selalu sehat walafiat sampai perjalanannya tuntas.
Ekspedisi Indonesia Baru.
Cukup terjadi di Jakarta dengan masyarakat Betawi, di Bali dengan masyarakat sana, penyingkiran itu jangan lagi di sini.
Pas kita datang tuh mereka dengan harapan yang besar sekali, pengen didengar gitu. Semangat Ben! Jom!
Anak saya selalu cari ayahnya. Kamu
In the last 10 years, we have been on 2 expeditions around Indonesia. We captured the issue of energy through 3 films, which we will discuss now. The first was about coal energy called Sexy Killers. The second one is about geothermal. And the last one we are working on is a story about nickel and electric vehicles. We released Sexy Killers on YouTube in April 2019, just 4 days before Indonesian presidential election.
Jangan nanti saya datang ke sini masih biarpet. Suara yang saya dengar biarpet terus.
Ya bukan milik saya juga, kan milik Allah semuanya. Kan ini kita semuanya niatkan ibadah.
Siapapun nanti kita harus lebih galak lagi untuk mengejar pelanggar-pelanggar pencemaran lingkungan hidup.
ratusan ribu hektar ya. Saya punya lahan tambang, betul. Tapi ya nggak ratusan ribu hektar lah.
Bukan HGU juga ya?
Nggak juga. Ya, tambang batu bara, biasa.
Within 7 days, the movie reached 13 million views and became 20 million in the same month. In recent years, Indonesia has ranked as the world's third largest coal producer after India and China. When the film was made, Indonesia coal production reached 548 million tons. 6 years later, amid global effort to reduce emission from fossil energy, Indonesia's coal production broke a historical record. So why is Indonesia, which is part of Paris Agreement, showing no sign of making an energy transition? One short answer is due to conflict of interest among high-ranked state officials and politicians. Both presidential candidates and their supporting parties are linked to coal industries, from mining site, power plant, and even financial companies. This include President Jokowi's two sons, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, which now is Prabowo's vice president, and Kaisang Pangarep, chairman of the Indonesian Solidarity Party.
Prabowo Subianto tercatat sebagai pemilik Nusantara Energy Resources yang menaungi 17 anak perusahaan. Kubu Prabowo Sandi memiliki tim sukses yang disebut Badan Pemenangan Nasional atau BPN, di mana Direktur Komunikasi dan Media dijabat oleh adiknya sendiri, Hasyim Joyo Hadikusumo. Hasyim adalah pemegang saham PT Batu Hitam Perkasa yang memiliki PLTU di Paiton, Jawa Timur, sebelum dijual kepada PT Saratoga Investama milik Sandiaga Uno, dan oleh Sandiaga Uno akhirnya dijual kembali kepada PT Toba Bara Energi milik Luhut Panjaitan.
Sexy killers recount hundreds of cases of children dying in unreclaimed mine open pits and villages lost to mining in Borneo. During the transportation process, hundreds of coal barks crossing the Java Sea every year have damaged coral reefs in conservation areas. This does not include hundreds of cases of respiratory infection and death from nasopharyngeal cancer among residents who live side by side with the power plants.
Langsung saja, Pak.
Saya kira cukup ya masalah ini. Ya, untuk apa bertele-tele lagi?
Oke.
Ya.
Baik, masih ada Pak waktunya?
Saya kira dalam hal ini kita sama, kita ingin memberantas pencemaran lingkungan. Kan begitu, Pak?
Baik.
Ya, jadi begini ya, kalau kita berbeda jangan kita dibikin diadu-adu terus. Betul nggak?
Baik, silakan Pak.
The premise of this film is Indonesian government is not dealing with the coal miners lobbying, but the coal miners themselves are ruling this country. The current share of Indonesia renewable energy is only 17 to 20%. In Indonesia's national energy policy, by 2025, the use of renewable energy is targeted to reach 23%. However, the target was postponed by 6 years to 2030. Just like coal, Indonesia is the world's largest nickel producer. We control about 30% of world's nickel.
Itu, bentol-bentol itu. Wih. Ini kenapa ini?
Ini karena gatalnya air laut.
Air laut?
Iya.
Begini nih, kadang kita sulit juga kita cari.
Air kabur.
Air juga begitu.
Menyeberang untuk mau pergi di kebun setengah mati ini sulit. Kedalaman sampai 4 meter sampai 3 meter ini.
Saja di bawah. Itu
berlumpur ya itu.
Berlumpur.
Ini kan ketara ini Pak. Nah. Ini ya.
Itu sudah endapan lumpur.
Iya, itu sudah endapan lumpur Pak.
Ini mengandung besi.
Ini sudah zat besi.
Zat besi.
Iya.
Dan itu sama sekali tidak cocok untuk padi.
Tidak bisa Pak.
Gara-gara ulah-ulahnya ini PT Gema, sehingga koru kami punya air dan tidak jalan kami punya air. Masyarakat sudah resah dengan air.
Ini sebelum beraktivitas tambang di sini, dua-duanya sungai ini dipakai masyarakat. Tapi setelah tercemar satu sungai ini, tinggal satu yang kami pakai.
hanya menerima getahnya. Kita independen hanya menerima getahnya, tetapi kami suka. The government targets to have at least 2 million electric cars and 13 million electric motorcycles on the road by 2030. To make this happen, a subsidy of more than $400 million will be set aside for the production of electric motorcycles. Here the paradox begins. First, with the energy mix still dominated by coal for the next 30 years, the increase in the electric vehicle population will be followed by the demand of coal. Second, from nickel ore to batteries, a long production chain is needed and requires coal energy. In the next 7 years, captive power plants will increase by 180%. This seems to contradict President Prabowo's promise to end the fossil fuel era in 15 years. And Mr. President Prabowo is one of coal business owner. As with coal, the environmental and social costs of nickel mining and smelting are not small. Over the past 3 years, together with the Watchdog team, we have filmed at least 6 nickel mining and industrial centers in eastern Indonesia in the docu-series Bloody Nickel. In 2024 alone, the mining sector, including coal and nickel, become the third largest contributor to Indonesian agrarian conflict. We are talking about 41 cases affecting the life of 11,000 families and covering a land area of up to 71,000 hectares just in 1 year. But still, this story is not about energy transition from fossil fuel to battery system. Private vehicle growth range from 8 to 13% per year, while public transportation infrastructure growth is only 0.1 to 1%. By 2024, with a population of 283 million, the number of motorized vehicles in Indonesia will reach 164 million units, or every 2 people have 1 vehicle. Therefore, the energy transition in the transportation sector in Indonesia is likely to only replace fossil fuels private vehicle with battery-powered private vehicle. Besides nickel, the paradox of Indonesia's energy transition is also evident in the palm oil-based biofuel project. Indonesia is the world's largest palm oil producer with 17 million hectares of oil palm plantation. With the narrative of reducing transportation emissions by around 35 million tons of CO2, the Indonesian government increased the biodiesel content to 35%, or B35. And this year began a program for B40. One of the projects to realize this,
is by clearing 2 million hectares of forest in West Papua for food crops and bioethanol or sugarcane plantation. This is the largest ecological project in Indonesian history after President Suharto's project failure on 1 million hectares of peatland in Borneo in 1996. Oil palm-dominated plantations are the main cause of agrarian conflict in Indonesia, which in the last 10 years reached 3,000 cases, covering 7 million hectares of land and forests, and involving the fate of 1.8 million families.
Saya pertama ditangkap, ditodong pakai senjata.
Malam ini ditahan di sana, setelah besok keluar tuh kan langsung digunduli mereka.
Pasti mati kalau ada orang duduk di sini kemarin.
Anak saya selalu cari ayahnya.
Tujuan perusahaan investor yang datang ini kan menjajah secara tidak langsung.
Pas kita datang tuh mereka dengan harapan yang besar sekali pengen didengar.
Penegakan hukum tajam di bawah, tumpul di atas.
Karena saya lagi hamil.
Sampai artinya anggota polisi
aku berontak kayak gitu, ngomong kayak gitu, langsung aku dieret sama orang Tigo.
Nyampe ke Polda, ditanya pun direndang di sini, gigi pacul 2.
Saya kan waktu dilempar ke atas mobil itu sudah tidak sadar lagi.
Ibaratnya tuh zaman Israel kami ini masih sensaro lagi dibikinnya.
Ya saya ditarik, saya ditinjunya.
Hidup mahasiswa! Hidup rakyat Indonesia!
In the journey of New Indonesia Expedition, we also recorded the story about energy transition from fossil to geothermal in Indonesia. It's a country in the Ring of Fire and owner of 40% of global geothermal potential. Indonesia is promoting geothermal power generation projects. Indonesia is listed as the second country to utilize geothermal for electricity after United States. The movie Hot Stuff, which we released in 2023, record social and economic conflicts related to geothermal projects in several locations in Indonesia, such as Sumatra, Java, and Flores.
Foto di sana, oi. Foto di sana, Timon.
Mereka mencari kebebasan dalam kesempitan. Mereka mendorong kami dan memegang kami para perempuan politik Pol PP semuanya. Jangan ada
membiayai PT Geodipa. Kalau Bank Dunia membiayai PT Geodipa, berarti Bank Dunia yang membunuh kami di sini.
5 orang tewas dan 22 orang lainnya dirawat akibat kebocoran gas sumur pengeboran panas bumi Sorik Marapi di Mandailing, Natal, Sumatera Utara.
1 orang tewas dan 5 lainnya terluka setelah pipa sumur gas bumi di Dieng, Banjarnegara, Jawa Tengah meledak.
The Indonesian government even designated Flores as a geothermal island without engagement and consultation with local residents. As a result, a number of geothermal projects have been rejected, such as the World Bank-funded Waisano and the German KfW Bank-funded Pocoleo. There are several cases in the field and objections that we recorded in the film, including land right and living space, disruption of water sources, gas explosions, public health problems, degradation of agriculture crop quality, damage to property, labor absorption issue, electricity distribution, threatened culture and social autonomy of the community, and police violence. These are our reflection on filming about energy transition in Indonesia. The story of energy transition in Indonesia is a story about conflict of interest between business and public policy making. Second, the energy transition is also not an issue of technology per se, but also about scale, business models, as well as socio-cultural aspect. For an archipelago like Indonesia, autonomy over energy sourcing and community ownership are key to a successful, just energy transition. Thank you.